Most planets in Star Wars Outlaws only takes 4 or 5 minutes to cross on a speeder, the size of 3 Assassin's Creed Odyssey zones stitched together. Scott,
there's a unit of measurement for the Americans that don't use the metric system.
This is Jordan Gerblek over at Games Radar. Ubisoft has revealed that 3 of the 5 planets in Star Wars Outlaws can be traversed in 4 or 5 minutes in a speeder. In a new IGN interview, creative director Julian Gerighty loosely compared the size of Star Wars Outlaw planets Tatooine, Akiva, Kijimi, Cantonica, and the moon Koroshara to that of 2 or 3 zones in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Koroshara is very close to the size of Akiva and Tatooine. I think Tatooine may be a little bit larger, Gerighty said. Equipped with a speeder, Toshora takes 4 or 5 minutes non-stop, which doesn't sound like a lot, but once you're committed, it's a fairly large amount, and you're always going to be distracted. Dude, I'm kind of thinking Far Cry. Like, I always go from point A to point B, and then something hits me.
Yeah, that's definitely supposed to happen a lot in the development of this game, I'm sure. They've filled it up with a lot of Star Wars to dazzle you with.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. He continues on with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which was one of the games that we were looking at while creating this. You have different zones on the map. Toshora is 2 or 3 of those put together. Yikes. Dude, Odyssey is huge.
Yeah, Odyssey is a ginormous game. The more I'm trying to remember how big it was.
Yeah, Gerighty lack of terms in which Assassin's Creed Odyssey zones can be used as reference points makes it tricky to get a confident grasp on the sides of Star Wars Outlaws map, but at the very least, we can safely glean that Toshora, Akiva, and Tatooine are right about the same size and will each take about 4 or 5 minutes to cross from one side to the opposite in a speeder. Star Wars Outlaws has long been positioned as something of a compact, more linear narrative to the open world behemoths we've come to expect from Ubisoft's modern Assassin's Creed games like Valhalla, Origins, and Odyssey. Last July, Gerighty told Edge that the planets in Outlaws will be manageable in size for both the player and the folks building the planets at Ubisoft. Corey got to check this out actually over at Summer Game Fest, and he came off real excited, dude.
Yeah, the idea that the speeder bike, first of all, has to be one of the really cool pieces of Star Wars. Something I looked at from being a kid. I always thought that was one of the coolest things, is just rip one of those across the planet. And it seems that will be able to happen for at least 5 or 6 minutes. That's a very long amount of space, because what I'm thinking of to try and place this somewhere, give your mind something to think of to kind of scale it, is the Grand Theft Auto map. So how far do you think you could drive a Grand Theft Auto in 5 minutes? Maybe around the entire map? It's quite a long distance, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Now, if we take that speed and we double it, say, for a speeder, this could be an incredibly large map, each of these planets alone.
So, you remember jumping in the GTA 5's map and going, man, this is big.
Yeah, it takes you more than 5 minutes to get across it.
But now, doesn't it feel small? You know what I mean? To me, I'm like, oh,
it seems familiar.
We're so used to playing that game now because it's been like 10 years. Yeah, I don't need to pull up the map anymore, dude. I just know where to go. It makes me excited to jump into something like this when they're comparing it to Assassin's Creed, though, because Odyssey was so big. And if we're on a speeder, dude, the last thing you want to do is jump on it and jump off in 30 seconds, right? Like, it just feels like pointless. Yeah. So that we're going to have to traverse over the landscape for 5 minutes. But how often are we going to go in that distance and get the, I'll just turn left instead? Or, because it's like GTA, man. You set a roadmap and you go from point A to point B, but you never make it to point B because somewhere along the line it was like 8.5 goes this way, and then you're getting shot from over here, and you're getting pulled in this direction and that direction. Something flashy pops up. You're like, ooh, what's this? And it just sideline, right? I'm hoping there's a lot there. I'm very curious to see the grand scale of all of this. How many planets? How do we jump? Because right now I'm still playing Starfield, and I don't
that
know why.
needs a speeder bike.
Part of me is like, why am I doing this to myself? But Shattered Space is coming, so that's why. But the way they leave the planet is not the way I want to leave the planet here. If that makes sense, right? I want to go grab in my ship and then take off and fly, kind of like No Man's Sky, and then just take off and go. That's what I want for, right? So there's a lot of hopes riding on this game. I know some people are starting to temper their expectations, which is very granted, right? We've all been burned before. They say this is somewhat of an open world game, so I'm really curious to see how well they pull it off. What we have seen, dude, looks cool. I'm intrigued. That's why I said Corey came out of Summer Game Pass. He was pumped. I'm like, all right, man, I'm in. Like, I was already in. It didn't take much to twist my arm. I do love Star Wars, and the fact that we're on an actual Jedi is kind of refreshing, right? We do know we're gonna get another Jedi out of Respawn, and where that's gonna go next, who knows? But we're still years away. At least here, we're gonna be jumping back into the world of Star Wars, and dude, I'm excited.
Oh, I'm excited. This game has me excited, just like the Star Wars Survivor or the Jedi series has me excited. And when it comes to Star Wars, these are the last few things I hold on to.
Absolutely. We want to hear from you guys. ITGTV.com. How excited are you for Star Wars Outlaws?